This is the girl OpenAI fears the most. Her name is Daniela Amodei and she's the president of Anthropic, one of the fastest growing startups in the world. By releasing an AI chatbot comparable to GPT-4, Daniela and her team are going directly against OpenAI, Google and Microsoft. Time magazine chose her and her brother as the most influential leaders in AI, even above people like Sam Altman, Demis Hassabis and Elon Musk. Daniela was a genius from a young age. She grew up in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. In school, Daniela studied English literature and politics. She graduated with top honors and got on the dean's list. In other words, she is smart AF. Daniela started her career in 2010, first working at the Iris Center before joining a non-profit focused on helping gorillas and other wildlife. She personally traveled to Uganda where she trained local health workers. In 2013, she worked in the US House of Representatives directly under a congressman. Even though she enjoyed working in the public sector, Daniela knew something had to change.
I really support people that are kind of working in those areas, and I think they matter, so much. And I just felt like I personally kind of wasn't having the level of impact that I was kind of looking for.
That's when she decided to join a small startup named Stripe. Now, of course, today Stripe has over 4,000 employees, but that wasn't the case when Daniela joined.
But I started at this tech startup called Stripe. It was about 40 people when I joined.
That's when her career took off like a rocket. Daniela was a solo recruiter and she quickly grew the team from 40 to 300 people, which got her a promotion to lead recruiter. She achieved a close rate of over 75%. Because of her excellent performance, she closely worked with the founders as well as the CTO. And at that time, the CTO of Stripe was a man by the name of Greg Brockman. More on him later. Daniela's interest in AI began while she was at Stripe. When she had the position of a risk manager, she often partnered with machine learning teams to reduce violation rates. In fact, she believed in the future of AI so much that in 2018 she decided to leave Stripe and join OpenAI.
After Stripe, I went to OpenAI and I was there for about two plus years.
If you're new to the channel, my name is Ondrej and I make AI videos like this one. So if you want to see more, please subscribe. Leaving Stripe wasn't easy. Daniela spent over 5 years working there and she saw the company go from a 40-person startup to a multi-billion-dollar company. However, joining OpenAI made sense because one of the co-founders was an old colleague of hers. That's right, Greg Brockman left his position as the CTO of Stripe to become the CTO of OpenAI. But Daniela had another reason to join this AI startup. And this reason was even stronger and more convincing. It was her brother. Dario Amodei is 4 years older than Daniela, and he was one of the first people to join OpenAI.
Dario and I have always been really close. I think since we were very, very small, we've always kind of had this kind of special bond around really wanting to, make the world better.
With a PhD in physics and an impressive resume, Dario worked as the head of AI safety before becoming the research director of OpenAI. He was in charge of the team responsible for building GPT-2 and GPT-3. While Dario was a world-class researcher, Daniela was great at leading and managing people. This skill set allowed her to quickly climb the ranks, starting as an engineer manager and VP of people, and later becoming the VP of safety and policy. Basically, she was the one making sure that AI doesn't go rogue and take over the world.
We had worked on things like, GPT-2 and GPT-3.
The release of GPT-2 was huge for OpenAI. It cemented its place as one of the leading AI research labs.
And in those days, I'm like, oh my God, this is like some kind of general reasoning and prediction engine. Like, oh my God, what is this thing I have in my hands, right? It's completely crazy.
So when GPT-3 was released, the expectations were really high. Luckily, GPT-3 was amazing, and the feedback from the AI community was overwhelmingly positive. However, not everyone was happy. Daniela and Dario were becoming increasingly concerned with the direction in which OpenAI was heading. The company was more and more involved with Microsoft, which meant OpenAI began focusing more on products and revenue and less on safety and alignment. The Amodei siblings didn't like this shift towards commercialization. After talking to some of their co-workers, they realized that something had to be done. And so, in December of 2020, Dario, Daniela, and 5 others left OpenAI. This was a huge hit for the company. Not only was OpenAI suddenly without a research director, a big problem for an AI research lab, but Dario and Daniela leaving created a ripple effect. Over a dozen other people, including some of the most important AI engineers, also chose to resign. It's safe to say that Sam Altman wasn't happy when he found out, but he had no idea of what was to come. The Amodei siblings didn't just leave, they went and created their own AI company, choosing to directly compete against OpenAI.
There were 7 co-founders who left, and then I think in total we got 14 or 15 people from OpenAI, which was about 10% of the size of the organization at the time.
They named this new startup Anthropic, which comes from the Greek word anthropos, which means man or human. Man, the amount of time I mistyped Anthropic is unlike any other company name. Anyways, the team at Anthropic was absolutely elite.
Because our founding team are like mostly PhDs, like we have like 7 physics PhDs and like our first 10 employees or something like that.
You know you aren't messing around when 70% of your team are PhDs. Okay, so what was the vision behind Anthropic?
Started Anthropic because we really wanted the opportunity to take this kind of focused research bet that safety could be at the frontier.
What we're aiming to do is not just to be successful as a company on our own, although we are trying to do that, but that we're also trying to kind of set a standard for the field, set the pace.
To put it simply, Dario and Daniela wanted to build in safety from the very beginning, making it the core principle of the company, not just one of the side projects. However, in the early days, there was a lot of work to be done before Anthropic could call itself a leading AI research lab, let alone competing with OpenAI. Daniela and the founders realized that if they wanted to build cutting-edge language models, they would need to raise a lot of money, because supercomputers aren't cheap. In 2021, they predicted that Anthropic would need to raise as much as $5 billion over the next 2 years alone. Little did they know that this prediction would be almost prophetic. This was also the first time that Daniela was the president of a company, let alone a co-founder.
I think being a co-founder it's a different experience in the sense that like you go through different phases, right? I mean, it's by far the least fun and glamorous. Did we pay everyone this month? And we're sort of like, we're sorry if we didn't pay you. Could you email Jared?
Luckily, this early chaotic startup phase didn't last that long. In May of 2021, Anthropic secured their first round of investment, totaling over $124 million. The list of investors includes names like John Tallinn, the creator of Skype, Dustin Moskovitz, one of the Facebook co-founders, and Eric Schmidt, the CEO of Google from 2001 to 2011. Very solid list for a 6-month-old startup. Daniela and Dario decided they wanted to start by focusing on the research first, making sure their AI models were helpful, honest, and harmless before building products with them. On one hand, it's admirable that they want to prioritize safety and interpretability. But on the other, it sounds weird, given that all the money they are currently making is because of the AI research and the products they offer, not because of safety. What most people don't realize is that Anthropic's business model is mainly focused on enterprise clients. That means medium and large companies. And it's unbelievably impressive how quickly Dario and Daniela are scaling the company. Anthropic was started over 5 years later than OpenAI, yet they are quickly catching up. In September, Amazon announced that it would invest up to $4 billion into Anthropic, taking a minority stake in the company. Earlier this year, OpenAI's valuation was $29 billion, and now Anthropic has reached a whopping $20 to $30 billion valuation. Given that they are 2.5 years old, this has to be some speedrun record. But even though Claude 2, Anthropic's latest AI model, is almost as good as GPT-4, I feel like a lot of people are still underestimating this company. Just look at the waitlist for the Claude 2 API. Over 350,000 people waiting to get access. And of course, I'm one of them. Right now, Anthropic has just 106 employees, which is absolutely insane considering their $30 billion valuation. If you do the math, that's almost $200 million per employee. That's what happens when you only hire world-class people. It's nothing short of mind-blowing what Daniela Amodei has been able to accomplish over the last 10 years. She went from doing non-profit work in West Africa to being one of the most important leaders in the AI revolution. If you want me to cover a specific person in the AI field, then follow me on X and send me a message. It's the first link in the description.